Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. Usually we focus here on yield farming, liquidity pools. Those are just a couple of my favorite ways to generate income in crypto. But today I want to touch on a slightly different topic, which is stacking sats. What is it? Why is it important? And after you know more about it, you'll see how actually it does touch with providing liquidity with Bitcoin, for example. That's a really awesome way to stack sats, in my opinion. And actually, the whole mentality behind it, because the whole thing is about mindset, is very much different from what usually brings people to crypto, which is chasing that 100x, that 1000x, not really looking at anything other than momentary money gains. And while that is to some level important, the topic of Bitcoin and why it was created, it's a lot more deeper than that. It's not just about the money, the number, the value. It's a much deeper topic. But the whole thing about stacking sats and not looking at value, or at least the present value of an asset, as the main focus. So the end game is going to be different when it comes to stacking sats in Bitcoin. And again, it's totally different than chasing high yields or even chasing the next big meme coin actually. And that's what we will be focusing on today's video. So for that, I want you to just picture a world where your money doesn't lose value over time, but instead does grow stronger. A world where financial stability isn't a distant dream, but a reality. And this isn't a fantasy we're talking about. It's actually the potential future with Bitcoin and its smallest unit, the Satoshi, in short, SAT. At this point in time, many people do struggle with economic uncertainties, ever depreciating fiat currencies, and in this context, stacking sats does offer a beacon of hope and a path to financial empowerment. So let's explore why stacking sats is very much worth it and how adopting the right mindset can make all the difference. You see, many people think that the Bitcoin train already left the station and hence they want to invest in the next thing they can ride from the very start. What if the thing you can ride from the very start is still Bitcoin, but with a different perspective, with the perspective of stacking sats, stacking small units of Bitcoin, because that in itself gives you a financial security that fiat doesn't. So in terms of value, one Satoshi, or in short SAT, accounts for 0 point and then there comes 7 zeros, 1 Bitcoin, making it to be overall needed 100 million sats to just make for a full Bitcoin. One single Bitcoin is 100 million sats. And that is regardless of the price of what Bitcoin can achieve and will achieve. So let's focus on the mindset. The mindset of stacking sats is about adopting a humble mindset and respecting the power of Bitcoin. Sats, being the smallest units of Bitcoin, do represent a way to participate in the Bitcoin ecosystem without needing to buy a whole coin, right? A whole Bitcoin. Think about the turtle versus the hare fable, and you'll understand why this mindset or this concept is reminiscent of that. The turtle won the race by staying humble, not showing off, not by flexing, not by bragging, just being humble and consistently moving forward. Similarly, stacking sats involves regularly buying small amounts of Bitcoin regardless of the current price. Remember, the current value is not your end goal. You will be needing to stay committed to the long-term goal. The end goal is having more Bitcoin stacked tomorrow than you had yesterday. So you'll need to be looking at the bigger picture. While the price of sats might seem low today, I mean, one sats it's worth a fraction of a cent, right? It's important to consider the potential for future growth actually. Bitcoin's price is definitely not done. It keeps on rising and it will keep on the rise, I believe. And mass adoption is still on the horizon. When mass adoption occurs, the value for a single Satoshi in fiat currency could be significant. If you doubt about it, let me know in the comments, but I believe for you to understand what's going to happen, we just need to follow the money. Because major financial institutions, the ones who have significant influence over global markets, they are buying Bitcoin every day. If you want to understand where the world is heading, look at what these players, these institutions are doing and not just at what they are saying. Because they have their talking heads on mainstream media, downplaying and bashing Bitcoin, claiming it to be the currency for money launderers and criminals. And the ultimate goal is making you not aware of its power and especially make sure that you don't take it seriously as an asset worth for you to buy or hold in the long run. And in the meanwhile, all of these big players are quietly accumulating more every single day. So even if you cannot afford to buy a whole Bitcoin, you can definitely still invest in Satoshis. And this practice does allow you to gradually build your Bitcoin holdings over time. And it doesn't really matter where you are in the world. The current price of a Satoshi it's fractions of a cent. So even if you're in a third world country, likely you can buy sats as long as you have access to the internet. One of the major differences between Bitcoin and fiat currencies is the deflationary nature of Bitcoin. Unlike fiat money, which can be printed in unlimited quantities, they just need to push a button and print it. Bitcoin and sats are deflationary. There will only ever be 21 million bitcoins in existence, making each Satoshi a finite resource. This scarcity can drive up value over time, and only in this short span of time that Bitcoin has been operating in the world, we already lost thousands of Bitcoins just due to people who forget their keys, lose access to their wallets, for whatever reasons those might be. And as these actions do keep on happening, there will be more and more value added to Bitcoin because it is being taken off from circulation. Now let's take a quick look at a historical perspective. So 10 years ago, imagine stacking Bitcoin based solely on its deflationary nature, not looking at the actual price that Bitcoin was, but just looking at Bitcoin as a deflationary asset. That would have proved to be a very wise decision, and the reality it shows that it is. Today, Bitcoin's price is over $60,000. Let's see in a year after I record this video how much it will be. That would be something interesting to see later on. But what I want you to focus on is that those who 10 years ago did stay humble and consistently bought Bitcoin, they have seen significant returns. And the same principle, I believe, still applies to sats today. So 10 years ago, maybe some people thought, well, the Bitcoin train already left the station. It's no longer worth it for me to chase that asset. I want to chase the next big thing. And if you did think like that, you probably missed out. And the same thing can be applied today, but to Satoshis. Because let's face it, 10 years ago, it would be much more easy for the average person to buy and stack Bitcoin, and nowadays, the appreciation of that asset makes it not to be as available to the average person as it once was. So I believe that every day we get closer and closer to adopting the Satoshi standard. And actually, if you are a Bitcoiner, you can already do this because just as Bitcoin's price continues to rise, it becomes impractical to measure everyday expenses in whole Bitcoins. For example, buying a meal with Bitcoin would involve dealing with many decimal places. While adopting the Satoshi standard, it simplifies this. It makes it easier to use Bitcoin for daily transactions. As Bitcoin's price grows, the Satoshi standard becomes more practical and solidifies its place in everyday financial transactions. And of course, this leads us to enter what I call the deflationary era. When considering a world or a way of living under the Satoshi standard, we need to understand that we are looking at a scenario which is the complete opposite to the one we live in today, where our money loses value by the day. Now, this shift to a deflationary asset such as Bitcoin could have profound impacts on our daily lives and even the global economy. In a deflationary world where Bitcoin's value grows stronger over time, people might change their spending habits and even their saving habits. Instead of spending money quickly to avoid losing value, individuals might save more knowing their sats will be worth more in the future. This could lead to a more savings-oriented society with long-term financial planning becoming the norm, Remember what I said in the beginning, it's all about the mindset, right? These will lead to economic shifts where the economy could be reshaped significantly. Traditional fiat currencies, which depreciate over time, might see reduced usage as people turn to Bitcoin as a store of value. This shift could challenge the current financial system where inflation is often used to manage economic growth and debt. This is a very significant point I wanted to share with you because with fiat, what you work for is paid in a currency that it's worth less and less, meaning that you need to work more and more and more. While with Bitcoin, the opposite is true. You get paid in an asset that it gets scarcer and scarcer as time goes by. And that can have a significant impact when it comes to release you from debt. Maybe you already experienced that position of being in debt and you know how it can just be used as a tool to manipulate you. People who are in debt are definitely going to be under a sort of mind control where every decision they do is definitely impacted by the debt that they have upon their shoulders. And that can be the most cruel form of imprisonment of an individual. So, touching on understanding and adoption, the common person's understanding of Bitcoin's true value is crucial. Currently, the lack of widespread knowledge about Bitcoin's deflationary nature and potential benefits is what keeps the zombie fiat system alive. I like to call it the zombie fiat system because it's a decadent system. It has no potential for growth. It's going to crumble sooner or later. And as more people become educated about Bitcoin, we could see a massive shift where millions worldwide trade their fiat for Bitcoin. That can definitely have potential consequences where this knowledge and the spread of Bitcoin could be catastrophic for both banks and governments. A massive Bitcoin run could destabilize traditional financial markets, leading to significant changes in monetary policy and financial regulation. On the other hand, it could also lead to greater financial inclusion and empowerment for individuals who adopt Bitcoin early. And I do still think that we are very early on. It's so early. Even if you never heard about Bitcoin, start stacking sats today. I believe you are pretty early still. When it comes to social implications, of course, the shift to Bitcoin standard could also have those. Wealth distribution might change, with early adopters of Bitcoin potentially gaining significant financial power. You see, the Bitcoin revolution can be looked as a transformation of wealth, one of the biggest in the history of mankind, if not the biggest. And this could lead to a more decentralized financial system, reducing the control of traditional financial institutions. And that leads us to the conclusion of this video, where the key takeaway here is to stay humble and keep stacking sats. By doing so, you're participating in a revolutionary financial system and positioning yourself for potential future gains. Remember, it's not about today, the present, the current momentum, the immediate price impact, but the long-term vision, the end game, and the potential for mass adoption. When that happens, that's where we will truly see Bitcoin's end game. So let me know what you think about stacking sats. Are you doing it? What are your favorite ways? I like to provide liquidity to liquidity pools with Bitcoin across the crypto scene. There's a ton of options. I share those in many of my videos. If you want to see related content, how you can do that yourself, start even today. Refer to the description and you'll understand how. Although many times it's called passive income, you still do need to take some time out of your day to manage it. But I think it's fun. I love doing it. I love to just follow the markets, see what's happening, in making my investment decisions accordingly. If you want to know more about this, and if you took value from the video, like and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think on this whole rant that I just gave you about Bitcoin, what sats is and stacking sats, why it is important. I don't think we are late into the game. I think even if you're watching this content today when I record it, or maybe even a year after, you just need to consider that fiat is ever depreciating. It's an inflationary asset versus Bitcoin, which is the complete opposite. So the more you can get, the better. But hey, that's just my take. I would love to hear yours in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'm going to wrap this one up. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you on the next one.